Welcome to the People First podcast. Now, it's been a long time since I've done a People First podcast, and I am excited. I have heard Dale's story, who I'll introduce you to in a minute, and I was super pumped to share it with all of you. He has an exceptional story of growth, risk, what else? There are so many parts to Dale's story that I'm going to let him introduce himself. Now, thanks, Dale. Thanks for coming along.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No, you're welcome. And what I want you to do before I ruin it for everyone listening at home is I want you to introduce yourself. So, hit me up. Who are you and what are you about?
My name's Dale. What am I about? Chasing a free life. So, doing everything I can to get to that for our family and future kids.
This is why I like your story so much. I think, how old are you, Dale?
29.
29. I remember 29-year-old Shane, and I remember having the same aspirations. I wanted a free life for me, my family, and my family's family. But it's hard work. It takes a lot of effort. It takes a lot of risk. It takes you putting yourself out there. It takes so much. 29.
29.
My memory ain't so great anymore. Remember, I'm 36. So 29. Now, have you always grown up in Penrith? Is there something? Let's go back as far as we can. Where did you grow up? How was your childhood? And then we'll get into really what you're about and what you're doing in a minute, just so we give everyone that's listening a bit of a reference to who you are and what you stand for as a person, first and foremost.
Yeah. So I grew up. I moved to Penrith when I was 13. Start of year 8, so that's when I started. That was like one of the best things that happened in my life, but also at the time very scary, because first year, year 7, you're out of school. So I went to Patrician Brothers Fairfield. I'm from Cabramatta West originally, and you start in year 7. That's when you form all your core friendships, and then it's taken away from you.
Yeah.
The next year.
Start again.
Yeah, and it's just lucky that I guess I was pretty, how do you say it? Like I was able to interact with a lot of people, could get on with a lot of different people. So that was easy for me to form more, and sport and music and stuff. So I had common interests with other people, so that was easy to form those new friendships. But yeah, so I grew up in Cabramatta West. Not a lot of Australians out there, so I'm not going to say it was difficult for me, because I'm friends with everyone, and I had a lot of friends. There's a lot of Asians out there, and that's a lot of Islanders, and that was a lot of my friends. And it's funny now, as a 29-year-old, I'm starting to circle back to these people and form friendships again, through business and just catching up and things like that. So
now you come over here to Penrith, and you said you were 13. Was that right?
Yeah,
13. So where'd you go to school out here? Well,
St. Dom's.
St. Dom's, and you went that goes all the way through to year 12A. It goes from
year 7 to year 12. Yeah.
Year 7, 12. And how was life growing up in like an all boys school, Doms like that? How did you go?
It was good. I mean, I chased girls after school.
Yeah, that's right.
But we were the laughing stock sometimes of the area, because, all boys school, haha, you're gay with this and that, But
I love people's assumptions.
Yeah,
a whole bunch of boys together. Oh, they must be gay.
I mean, we do shower together, but whatever. But it was really good. Girls are a distraction as well. I was already not that switched on at school. I was more about networking. I mean, you call it networking, like just being a dickhead, really.
Yep.
And
well, that's what networking, connection, right? How can you form a rapport with someone in about 5 seconds, and that's a good networker, right?
Yeah,
learn it at school.
Exactly. Yeah, and I was like the loud, funny dude, whatever. But I've lost my train of thought.
The school growing up and
yeah. So then, you form all those friendships and stuff like that through a bunch of guys being together, playing sport, mucking around.
Yep.
So it was a really good experience for me.
Good time. You had no trouble at school. There was nothing there that sort of got in your way.
Well, like I said, I was a bit of a larrikin at school. I was smart, and if I applied myself, probably could have done well.
Yep.
But it is what it is with my life now, how it's played out. But yeah, I was very frustrating to teachers because, even my maths teacher, I would get sent out of class halfway through most classes, not do homework, whatever, and then still do relatively well in tests and stuff. It just frustrated her so much because there was potential there.
That's right. Wasted potential. I mean, circling through now, and your childhood sets us up, I think, a lot. I think we go through a lot in our childhood to literally put us through the ringer, so to speak, in some areas to see what's really important to us all. When you're tested in certain spaces in life, in school, whether that be through bullying, whether that be tested through being a school captain and being A grade student, there's all these little tests that we all go through as students, as kids. We develop a tenacity, we develop a grit, a determination, and that then ideally flows into our young adulthood, into where we are now, and then it creates some spots for us to excel at as adults. And I want to talk about what it is that you're doing now with your life right now. Let's talk exactly about why I felt it was so important for you to share your story with us. What it is that you're doing. What risk have you taken at the moment? There's something that you want to share with us. Let's share it now and let's get it out on the table and then go from there.
Yeah, well, I guess I'm not chasing or partaking in the traditional life. And also there's nothing wrong with the traditional life. Some people are happy doing that. I was never content with being 9 to 5, have kids, get married, have kids, buy a house, buy an investment house when you're 50, and then travel the world when I'm 72 and about to die anyway.
Work your ass off for 65, 70 years and then try and keep the money for the kids anyway. So you try not to spend it because you want to give it away by then,
Exactly. So I just thought, I've always had, when I was 18, as cliche as it sounds, I had Ferraris on my wall and, at that time it was music. So I was chasing the music dream, DJing and stuff like that, producing. And there was big crowds on my wall, like photos, Ferraris, a beach house. So that was always in my vision, whether or not it was going to happen then or later. So I guess now, so I did the traditional path from I want to say 21 to probably 28 until this happened. I started a business in between that in bricklaying, but I guess it's still the traditional path. It was still a 9 to 5. It was
just 6 to 1, right?
6 till bloody 5. You get home at that time. It was 12-hour days.
True.
And yeah, it was a blessing in disguise. What happened to me next? I got injured at work. So that was, my knee gave way, and leading up until then, all I was thinking about was, what can I do? What can I do? Me and my partner, Brooklyn, what are we going to do? Having all these ideas, cafes, restaurant, e-commerce stuff, whatever it is, you name it, we thought about it, as a new business and to try and get out of this traditional life. And then one of the ideas was a mobile app, a technology company, which is, I still laugh about it to people when I tell them, because it's such a random, crazy thing to do, especially me I'm a bricklayer.
Yep.
And I always joke I'm just a dumb bricklayer from Western Sydney. But yeah, and that should just show that anyone can do anything as well.
Yep.
But yeah, basically it's a tech company. It's called Prolete Athlete Scouting inside the app. Yeah, we're just trying to streamline that service because at the moment athlete scouting is super outdated.
So where did you get the idea for Prolete? Like, what was the inspiration that you just went, ding, 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 I need to change the old guard of how people get around and scout, which is literally attending games, right? Is that the old way? Attend a game, take your notes, you make some marks on one moment, one performance, and then you start talking about, what would you do, like sponsorships or like scouting them and putting them in teams and whatnot, yeah?
Yeah. So basically, man, there are innovative, like different ways to do it now. As in, there are video and data analytics companies that showcase athletes and take data, and that's how you can find athletes. But they're super limited to the athletes that can afford it, or the ones that their coaches have put them on there. It's very like athletes. It's not in the athletes' hands, and as well as the scouts, it's for me, I went through that. I mean, I played a little bit of SG ball at North Sydney Bears, so that's like semi-representative. That's the pathway to NRL. I mean, it was my dream to play NRL. But I mean, I was limited to my resources, my access to coaches, finances, to play for these academies and these programs. And then, you're literally relying on someone being at your game at the right time to find you, to give you that tick. And that's exactly what happened to me. The most important game of my life in a grand final, and that was my worst game of my life. And that was like a prime example of being at the right place at the wrong time.
Yeah.
But then that's my chance gone almost, because now it's like, oh, this guy, whatever.
Yeah, he's useless. Don't even bother.
So
Write him off.
100%. Luckily, I recovered after that and did make some rep teams, but that can defeat some kids. So 100% it's outdated at the moment. Word of mouth, right place, right time, finances, having access to coaches, programs, academies, all these elite academies, they all cost money.
That's right.
So we're just trying to create a one place, one sole dedicated platform where athletes and scouts will be able to utilize it and make their life easier. So, and we're doing that.
Now, if I was someone who was relatively good at a sport, let's say I was good at soccer, footy, whatever it might be that I feel that I'm good at the moment, right? How do I go? How do I get in contact? What do we do? Like, do I just reach out, or do you find these people? How does it work specifically so we get our head around it? And then I want to talk about what you've done to get to this point. So just so we understand exactly where we're at. So we've dropped the old way of thinking in regards to scouting, one opportunity, one moment, the whole M&M style. Mm-hmm. You vomit on your chest instead, mum spaghetti. And and now you're looking at the new way of doing it, the new revolutionary. You've got the apps in now, and okay, well, where do I go? How do I kick off now?
So at the moment we're in testing phase. We're in testing phase at the moment, so we've got probably 10 to 20 athletes. We're sort of growing that number, but we're capping it at 20 to really just start using the platform, upload their videos, create profiles, find all the bugs, get feedback from them, and then hopefully by next month, end of this month, next month, we'll release to the public. And then, so to your question of how do athletes get on the platform, well, one of our strategies is schools and local clubs. I mean, it's an obvious one, but, obviously we're just going to start in Western Sydney. We're going to start in our home, build up the app.
There's a lot of good athletes out this way.
Exactly. And the thing is too, it's not just like you said, you said if I've got talent or I'm, an elite player or whatever, yes, it's for you, but it's not just for you.
Mm.
Like, if I am on the fringe, if I'm a fringe player and I'm good enough, but also, not quite sure or just not getting seen or, but I am good enough. Like, everyone, all 17 NRL clubs are chasing Kalen Ponga, right? Or Nathan Cleary. He's going to get signed 1,000%, but all of them want him.
Yep.
But what about the other 4 players underneath that are just as good but aren't getting the same recognition? That's
right.
The whole point of Prolete.
Well, you're seeing that now, right? You're seeing that happen in the Panthers especially. You've got probably 5 or 6 other players there that are just, if not like 1% difference, 100%. If that, right? And then you're thinking, well, okay, how they get seen. So this is for those people as well, like that type of level. And then you've also got your club, just your general club stuff, right? So then you need a representative team, but you're not really sure how to get yourself out there, put yourself on the map to be a representative player.
100%.
And then how do you go from there to the NRL, for example, right?
Well, for me, like when I was 16, 17, 18, dreaming of playing in the NRL, I was literally on the internet finding trials. So like Roosters, Balmain Tigers, North Sydney Bears. I found all of them through the internet at my own time.
Yep.
Whereas through Prolete,
it's done for you.
We're going to have access to all these teams, organisations, people from these teams, where it's just going to be at your fingertips, literally. And yeah, we're going to change the game. And also, like, I want to touch on, I was speaking to Brooklyn yesterday and like sort of firing up about another point of Prolete is we're not just an athlete scouting platform. We're going to build up these athletes in other ways. For example, having internal motivation, their health, their like performance tracking, all of that stuff. But like everyone, it's good for everyone to participate in sports, 100%, and that's obviously what we want to do around the world. We want everyone to participate in sports, get healthy, get fit. But we also want to create winning mindsets. As bad as that, like I don't know if that sounds good or bad, but there's nothing wrong with a winning mindset. You can still be humble and a good person and be a winner. And that's what we want to do, not just for sport. Like if we can create a bit of competition between these kids, and then if not everyone's going to make it to NRL, EPL, NFL, but if we can give these kids like build an internal everything, like internally motivation, winning mindset, healthy habits, they're going to bring that into their relationships, their businesses that they do, everything that they do in life. It's going to go outwards.
It's going to grow exponentially for all of their areas of life, right? So one of the things I think that a lot of sports athletes are cottoning onto now is the fact that their sporting career, maybe depending on the sport, anywhere from professionally 3 to 5 years. Yeah, maybe a little bit longer in some sports, but most sports at the pinnacle of the pinnacle, right? You're going to be you're lucky to get a good amount of time like that out of someone pushing them that hard. But what happens to them mentally along the way? Are they developing themselves emotionally, physically? Yes, obviously, because they're sports athletes, but emotionally, mentally, are we developing these athletes? Okay, but on top of that, what other outlets are we going to give them when sport ends? Because sport will end. We don't all stay 21. We don't all stay, depending on the activity that you're playing, at that elite age to play. At some point, you're going to turn 45. And at some point, that 45-year-old body won't run around a park like it did at 21. And so what do we do now with those athletes? Where do we give them an outlet? Because we've had this absolute cheering. 30,000 people cheering for you on the weekend. Now what do we give you mentally to extinguish that fire? Because you get that nowhere. Where do a lot of them turn? Alcohol and drugs. And why they do that? Because there's no other outlet. And so something like this with you guys is really cool. And I love the idea of the fact that you guys are going to then think about that and say, okay, well, how are we going to build you up emotionally and mentally to withstand the pressures of being an elite sport athlete or on the fringe? The pressures that are involved in that, but also what happens when you decide that you don't want to do sport anymore or you can't do sport. What happens if you get an injury? What happens if your knee blows out? What happens if where are we going to go? And so you're offering opportunities for these people to grow, not only just wait around and be picked like some sort of entertainment freak, like, oh, now you're going to earn our club money. That's why we really want you, right? Because we know we're going to be able to put money on your head. Yes, it'll cost us this amount, but return on investment is exponential. Cool. But what about the person? That makes more sense. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, 100%.
Now, what have you done in regards to like risk? This really interested me when I started chatting to you the other day at the cafe, and you guys were talking to me about where you've gone. Like, this is not something you can just get up and do. Day one, when you went, I'm creating a technology company, I'm starting an app, I want to do this, this, and this. Brooklyn's on board. What happened next? What was day two looking like? Like, day one, we've established what we want. What did we do day two? What did you do the second day moving forward with this goal?
Well, number one, I will just touch on it. Having your partner for life on board is 90% of it. You would know if you don't have the same vision, the same values, the same conversations, everything. If it's not aligned, I mean, some things can be not aligned. We're all different as well. But at the end of the day, in the ultimate scheme of things, if it's not aligned, that can make or break you. Literally, she could have Brooklyn. You gonna say something?
No.
Brooklyn could have literally changed my whole life by saying, "Are you serious?
Not backing you.
It's a tech company, bro. What are you talking about?
Get back to laying bricks.
Shut
up.
We're making good money because we were. I mean, she could have said, just get your knee all fixed and then boom, get back to bricklaying. We've got a family. We've got bills, blah, blah, blah. 100%. And that's like such a normal thing to say.
Puts the water on the fire goes out, the dream dies.
100%. And then, that could have caused problems later on for us. Because I would have, something else would have came out, exactly my idea, make $1 billion, and then I'm like, are you serious?
Where were we? Exactly.
But yeah, so, I mean, I just wanted to touch on that.
Yeah, for sure.
Like, she backed me 1,000%, and, that's all you could ask for.
And I've noticed it. Like, I've known you for a long time, but I haven't known you and Brooklyn as a partnership, right? And I've just been watching you guys from afar. It's just part of the whole social media journey I watch. And I think I see the light in her eyes when she talks to you about your goals as well, right? You both have this shared passion, but she believes in you so much that it makes you believe in you. And I think that's fucking powerful. Like, that is pretty, it gives you goosebumps, right? When someone believes in you that much, you're like, I'm not going to let them down.
Yeah.
You get emotional, like, you're like, fuck, I just needed this to work because this person believed in me. And I'm going to prove to them that everything we've sacrificed was worth it, and if not more.
100%. Yeah, 100%.
Love it.
Yeah, so I guess what was next, I mean, do you want me to touch on the story of how...
Yeah, take me through, man. We got time.
So, I mean, I had this idea for... Okay, so we're in right now. We are in... What is it? September 2023. I reckon I had this idea probably early to mid last year, 2022. The initial idea was... The initial concept was rugby league players getting scouted to the NFL. That was how like niche my idea was. It was like, right. Oh yeah, cool.
Whole Jared Hayne thing, right?
Jared Hayne, Valentine Holmes, they're all going over there. But then even like guys like Jordan Mailata, who plays for the Philadelphia Eagles now, prime story of like Aussies don't get shots at playing in the NFL.
Yeah, no.
It's so, I mean, we want to be that vehicle. But yeah, so that was the original idea. And then it sort of, I'm like, oh no, soccer, that's the biggest sport in the world. Let's do soccer. Or football. Sorry.
You're going to piss a lot of people off if you call it that, buddy. You're going to call it football?
Football. And then it just was like, so then I told Brooklyn about it back then, but obviously we're still laying bricks. We're still doing our normal thing. And we're both just like, yeah, mobile up. One day, but never, right? And then the injury happened. And then it was like, oh, shit. need to start thinking about what's next. Like, is it a cafe? You know, like all the other ones. I mean,
that many of them now.
yeah, and Phil Halani has that covered.
Oh, especially in Western Sydney,
100%.
He's the man on that, isn't he?
And Jake Farragher, they just got the whole bloody place covered. But anyway, so yeah, there was all these ideas like, oh shit, and then it come back to the mobile app. It was like, oh, far out. How are we gonna do this? And then I remember seeing another podcast, Daniel Hakeem. He's a big business guy in Sydney. He was interviewing someone like Gail. His name's Gail from Step Inside, and that's an app developer. And I remember that was in my mind from ages ago. And I remember, oh shit, I think I actually know an app. Like, I don't know him, but you know, I have access. Like, there's someone there I could probably talk to. One thing led to another, and literally after a week of talking to these guys, we're in the city, in their office, literally going through the app, breaking it down, the whole flow of it, the ideas, they were bouncing ideas and all that sort of thing. And I was like, wow, all right, this is happening. And then how do we get the money? How do we get the money to fund this?
And it's funny because people think that developing an app is like a $2,000, $5,000 thing, and that is not at all what it is. It is tens, if not hundreds of thousands of dollars to develop an app that actually works well, that has the capabilities that you're after. Did they quote you a price and like, bruv, like, unless you've got $100,000, don't even bother?
They didn't give me a price sort of up front, which sort of just, I mean, they didn't say it was going to be cheap. They said to me, like, they were pretty honest, and they said, man, you can get this done offshore in India or wherever, and it'll be so much cheaper. Like, but obviously they said, but then you got no control, and what if it turns out shit? I mean, trying to sell it a little bit as well. But I did trust them a lot. So to Brooklyn, like, they were just right into it, and you know, I get good gut vibes. But we both do, and it felt good.
I mean, that in itself, the fact that they're going to say, hey, you can go do this in this way, but we can do it better.
Yeah.
That to me says, okay, you didn't hide it from me. You weren't trying to keep the veil on and trying to pull the wool over my eyes. You told me that I can go do this for a quarter of the price.
100%.
And yet you're telling me that although I can, it might not be the best option, right?
Yep. And they also said go to other companies and like get quotes, please. Like, we don't want to be the only one that you get. Whether this is a good or bad thing, I didn't get any more quotes because I just trusted them that much. And now, like, we're so far into it now, they've actually been super supportive and so much advice. And they're the tech guys. I'm not a tech guy, so you know, just so much advice from them and guidance and ways to do things. And yeah, they've been good in the end. But yeah, so basically needed money. They came to us with a quote. It was very expensive, 6 figures. And we're like, probably need to sell the house. And the thing with me is, like, Brooklyn was very weird, like, not weird, but like apprehensive about selling the house. Totally fair enough, 100%. I mean, it was it was our investment house. We're renting like a newer house, and we're renting our we were renting our investment out.
Yep.
And yeah, she was like, far out. I mean, she didn't question it, but like,
I mean, it would make absolute sense for her to be a little bit worried. You know, you have a family, you have 2 kids, you have a wife. You've got to ask these questions. There has to be things that run through everyone's mind, whether or not they're 100% on board or not. You've got to go, hold on. This is our nest egg. This is what we're going to maybe retire on. Now we're going to move it forward to now, which also falls in line with the way that you think of life, which makes sense, right? I don't want that to be my nest egg. I want this to be, well, I've got equity in it now. Why can't I use it now to create a life that I'm going to have an exponentially greater life in the next decade?
Turn that 100K, or it was a bit more than that, but I won't disclose it. Like, turn 100K into 100 million. That's, I mean, and like, it still feels weird sometimes talking about that much of money, like $100 million and millions and billion. I'm starting to like, I don't know, law of attraction or whatever, but like it doesn't feel out of reach anymore. Whereas before, when you kind of coming up with all these ideas of businesses, you're like, am I ever going to get there? And then now you've got something that you're passionate about and you're working on it. You're like, fuck, this is like, can happen.
Yep.
But yeah, like for me, like exactly how most people in the whole world are. Well, let's just talk about Penrith. And I said this on our podcast. 100 people need 100 grand to start a business. I don't think 90 people are going to sell their house to get that 100K.
98 people won't sell their property to get that. That's insane.
But it's also fair enough.
Exactly. But it's insane because it could work, right? So if you look at some of the best people in the world, they seem insane on the surface. And look deeper than that, and it's not. It's all educated, like absolute plays that they know they're going to make. And when this happens, then this happens. And when then this happens, then that happens. But we need to sound crazy to start because everyone of your friends will go, you're crazy, you're nuts, until you make it happen. And then they go, how did you do it? I fucking told you I did it. You watched me do it. You wouldn't do it though. You wouldn't put your balls on the line, so to speak, to do that because it is terrifying. It is insane, but not in the negative way. In a positive way, in a Elon Musk way, you know what I mean? Like that's, if you look at the things that they're doing in their careers, in what they've done, right? They sound absolutely insane. Who's going to buy a Twitter and change the fucking name and do all this and do all this sort of stuff and then write posts and create disruption in the world? But these people sound insane, and yet look at them.
And the thing is too, like, who says that the traditional way of life is the right way to do it?
Yeah,
like
you're bred from the time you go to school. That's the conditioning, right?
Literally, who says that? Who? Like, I mean, everyone says it, but why? Like, I'm not attached to my house that we sold.
Yep.
I mean, you know, this might sound wankerish, but I'll get back to work, and in 2 years, I'll buy another one.
Yep.
I mean, house prices are high. Yes, all right, interest rates, whatever. I'm just saying, I could
figure it out.
Get back on the rat race, and I'll buy another one.
That's right. There's nothing is lost, especially in a country like Australia, where even if you fucked up and lost everything, you're looked after still, so to speak, right? There's no rock bottom. I mean, some people, the victims out there will tell me there's rock bottom. There is, but there's also a lot of fucking choices that you've made that help you stay there. And yet if you're prepared to get to rock bottom, use the advantages that the country will give you and then move forward, then there's no rock bottom. Like you can get out of that if you want to, right?
100%.
Choice.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Like, actually, I won't go into it, but
it's another podcast.
Yeah, so. But like, yeah, like I'm not. I was never attached. I mean, obviously at the start I was attached to the house, but then when I seen that there was like equity in it, I was like, this. I see that as that is our gateway to being financially free, having a free life, of doing whatever we want. Because at the end of the day, money equals freedom. Whatever, doesn't matter what anyone says, that's what it is. So if you got money, you can be free. So sold the house. That was also a process. It took a while, and we also didn't get what we wanted. So more stresses, but man, it's so weird how detached I am from money as well. I'm like never stressed about it.
Yeah.
We're eating into our, like we've already spent for the app, and we're doing all these other things like marketing, you know, there's all these other expenses with the business. I'm so like not stressed.
Yeah.
Because I know it's going to work.
So you sold the house, you didn't get what you want for it, but then you had to use that money now to create some sort of start on this app. So you went back to the developer and went, here's the check. I mean, obviously you just transferred it, but
over time, yeah.
I
was holding on to it as long as I can.
Yeah, this is our payment plan. This is going to get like you would in a build of a house. You go with the first amount, let's start it. Second amount, let's start the build. Second, third, reiteration. Here's another X amount of dollars to do the reiterations. Now, where are we? Let's say a month into it. You've seen the developer. Where are we? Are there any problems? What's come up? Is there any doubt now? Because the darkest of our lives, the darkest moments of our lives, are right before we see dawn. Right. So, right before you see some success, there's some fully dark days.
Yeah, 100%. I mean, we're all our worst enemy as well. I mean, I'm talking about all this positivity and, oh, I don't care about money and, I'm not stressed and blah, blah. Yes, there's stressful times.
Mm-hmm.
Like, for example, going back to bricklaying, there was a time where I wanted to change it up because bricklaying wasn't, I never wanted to be a bricklayer. I fell into it. Family members were bricklayers and just fell into it. And, it's not a bad thing. It was good money, but it's not what I want to do forever.
Yep.
But yeah, I wanted to change from I wanted to leave bricklaying. Plus the culture in bricklaying's very different. And I'm sure you can imagine what I'm talking about, the types of people that are in it. But I tried stonework, like midway through. We just bought a new car, house payments, all the bills. So this is a failure of ours, really, or a lesson learned. Went into stonework, faked my way into job because you need like a apprenticeship for that. And I faked my way watching YouTube videos, started an Instagram page, got a couple of jobs lined up, or one job really. Had a few more after that, but did my first job and like just went backwards, man. Lost money, like literally. I should have been working for someone else. I would have made more money.
Yeah.
And at that time, like
underquoted it, more expenses, just more time. Fuck.
I didn't know how to do it. I mean, I had an idea, but I didn't know how to do it. And yeah, that set us back. We had no money, like literally nothing at that time. So I was scrambling, had to get back to bricklaying, finish some jobs off and get paid again. And yeah, there was literally times as well at Christmas where this is when I was working for someone else where we had no money. Literally, we had to tell, and this is not like, I'm not trying to do a sob story and build my narrative, but
it's part of it, man.
Yeah, like there was times, I mean, 1 or 2 times maybe, we had to tell family members, "Oh, can we wait a little bit to buy his presents?" Like, but yeah, that's built us up to who we are now. But yeah, as for now, we haven't really. The app build has been pretty seamless. Again, what is it? Imposter syndrome. You get those thoughts every now and then where you're like, far out, is this actually going to work? Like,
yep.
People going to sign up to this? Are people going to pay me for it?
Yep. But that's part of all products. I mean, Jeff Bezos, like selling books online, man. You can go to the library and get them for free. Who thought that selling them online that's how it started, right?
100%. And like, yeah. And all you need, everything can be innovated, whether it's by that much or that much. I'm trying to get the camera here. Mm-hmm. Like, if you've just got one thing that can be changed in CrossFit or a gym or a cafe or whatever it is, something can be changed a little bit where new people will come to it.
100%.
And you can capture that part of the market. And that's exactly what, I mean, I feel like Prolete can change a lot of things, but all you need, like there's so many businesses out there that have major competitors. It's flooded with other businesses and all they do is just change a little bit. Could even be the marketing behind it.
Yep.
And boom, they take over the world.
You look at it with banks, like there's different marketing avenues. They're all just banks. They're just taking your money, but they just market it slightly, and I'll go with them.
Or they do a discount for that month or whatever, or a low interest rate.
Now, who do you look to for influences from here? Now, you've gone and you've risked it all. You've sold the home. You've put all the money in. You're now digging into savings, adding to, but you haven't earned it all yet, right? The thing hasn't actually given you any money. No. Where do you draw your influence and inspiration from that?
Obviously, like my family, my immediate family, Brooklyn, the babies, the girls. They influence, they motivate. All I have to do is just look at them and then
Get back to work.
get to it. And yeah, as you said, Brooklyn's my biggest supporter, and I know that. Like, she always G's me up all the time. And when I'm firing up talking about something new or something that's happening or some new person that I'm talking to, like, she can tell, she's like, "Fuck yeah, this is gonna."
Yeah.
But yeah, like, as for like podcasts and YouTube and Instagram, like Alex Hormozy, Chris Williamson is another one. There's a Gary V, obviously.
Yeah.
All the standard ones. I mean, and then there's a couple that I can't think of right now. Like even Mark Boris, I love talking to him. I wish.
Listening and digesting his stuff.
Yeah, and like
very Australian, affluent.
100%.
Yep.
And just all sports tech stuff. And then there's people around me now. Like literally a year ago, I was laying bricks. Now, if you had told me back then that this is where I would be now, these are the types of people that I'm talking to. These are the groups that I'm involved with. These are the places that I'm going, the people that I'm hanging around. Like, it's crazy, man. How much can change like that, like a click of a finger, is crazy. And yeah, so now even the people that are like literally surrounded around me, my network now, it's crazy, man. And they build, and like in that world, everyone wants everyone to win. I mean, you got the few people that whatever sabotage it, but everyone, at the end of the day, everyone wants everyone to win, because at the end of the day, they're either on the same level as you or they're above you. Like, as if they don't care.
Yeah.
They don't care if you're making a new company, starting a new company, tech company, whatever it is. They're successful already. They want you to win.
I was generally find people with skin in the game are less likely to bring you down. People who don't, because you remind the people who don't have skin in the game, people who don't follow their dreams, who don't want to go after it, you remind them of what they've given up on, and that bums them out, and that they want to see you do well, and they want to bring you down back to where they are. And humans are generally very herd-like. We're very pack-like. So if you're doing something different to the pack that's, say, below you, for example, so the pack that's down here, when you're doing things that are different and still associating with the pack that's doing stuff like that, they're going to nip at you. They're going to tell you, what you're doing is dumb, you're an idiot, you're going to foul, you got nothing, this is stupid, because it just makes them question all the things that they do and say, and it doesn't make full in alignment with them. So now you're the outer, you're going to change the herd, and the herd don't like that. So when you're in that, you're running with the herd above you, you're running with the herd that's equal to you or parallel to you, they go, why aren't you doing more? Why do you only invest 5K when you can invest 10K and get twice the result? Go do it. Yeah, it's a risk. Who cares? They're telling you to do all the things that you need to do to get more out of it, because they've seen it, they've done it themselves, and they're running with that pack.
Yeah.
And you got to pick it's the same thing with your partner. You were saying at the start of this podcast, who you pick can define where you end up in a year or two. And if you pick wrong, and I don't want to be, but I love them. I'm like, love is love, but picking, you need to pick for more than reasons to just love. If you love a drug addict, I mean, what do you think is going to come from that? And people can get themselves stuck. I get that, man. If anyone gets that, I get it.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if you're wanting to change them, and just through the fact that you love them, that isn't enough sometimes. Some people need more than that,
100%. Like, yeah, I don't know. Like, who you choose can change your whole life, can determine how what you do. Like, obviously, when we first started dating, we were young. We were 21. I was 22 or 21. She was 20, whatever. We were young.
Brooklyn's like, you idiot. You don't even get it.
And, like, obviously, you're not thinking then, oh, yeah, let's build a crazy life together. You're not thinking that. I mean,
No
as a male, definitely not.
No.
Maybe she was, whatever.
She's not thinking tech company. She's thinking, I hope this guy's not a dud. That's what she's 100%. Thinking.
He's good looking. He's funny. That's all I need right now. And yeah, I mean, so it's super risky when you're young, because you're not actually thinking about who you're with. Right. Or, like, I'm not thinking, is she going to be Oh, this is controversial, actually. Good housewife. Sorry, all the feminists. But
But you mean someone that cares for you, cares about you, because you do the same. It's not like you're not going to go to the freaking laundry. When people hear that, they're like, "Oh, he's never done." That's not what he said.
yeah,
But at the same time, you get what they're saying. Are there going to be like family bonds here? Is there someone I'm going to want to raise a family
motherly
with?
person.
Yeah, is it feminine as opposed to more masculine? Because you've got the masculine role covered.
Yeah.
You know, I'm all for equal rights and all that stuff, but there are roles in each
Yeah.
relationship, and if you try and blend them too much, they become very different.
100%. So yeah, I mean, you don't know that when you're young and you're not thinking about that. So I was just lucky that we, formed into what we are now, the same values, and she didn't fight me. I didn't fight her on things that she wanted to do, or, and everything happens for a reason.
Totally.
But so many people end up with, whether it's, I mean, I'm not going to say it's it is the wrong person for them, but, they might be two good people, but they're just different. And they have kids, get married, they buy houses, and it's so common. And they break up, and then it's all a mess.
You can get trapped in that cycle, exactly, and then at some point, but that's a beauty, stepping out of it and saying, "Hey, I'm bigger than this, and I'm worthy of more than this, and I'm going to change." And a lot of people do that because they do make mistakes, and then they'll move forward and go, "Okay, I need to separate from this energy, this person, and I need to then build my own life on my own 2 feet with the things that I really do value now. Because as a kid, I didn't value this, and now as an adult, I might." So I see that. Now, where to for you for Prolete from here? What's the next 6 months look like? What's the next 12 months look like?
Yeah, well, right now we're in, as I said, testing phase, and then hopefully by the end of this month, start of next, we'll release to the public. And then it's just like onboarding people, getting people on the app, getting people using it, and then we're slowly thinking about other ways to build inside the app and give more features, and it's to do with performance tracking, wearables, AI stuff, blockchain, Web3. Like, there's so many things that we can do to innovate it. But just getting this first version out and get people using it and familiar with it, that's what will happen. I mean, hopefully in the next 6 to 12 months, we have some revenue coming in through subscriptions, and we can start, making a little bit back. We'll go through some investment phases, sort of what we're going through right now, because we do need to keep the ball rolling and keep the features being built. And like, the thing is, if we can show that there's 1,000 people on there using it and it's working, if someone just puts $1 million into it, we can turn that into 100,000 people. Yeah. Like, if you got 1,000, you can turn that into, you just need the right strategic partners and money behind you. Because, it's not going to happen without both of them.
Yep.
Yeah. So that's pretty much how that's going to happen.
Now, do you, as an individual of like, you've got your head screwed on in regards to positivity and focus and what you want from life. Now, even with all that, do you keep routines? Is there anything that you do that keeps routines? Or do you have a routine that you do every single day and religiously?
Oh, I try to go like into the gym because I've got a bad knee, so I can't do all the CrossFit stuff as much as I would want to. Shane,
remember, even though he said that, he's wrong, because we can modify all of the workouts to suit any needs. By the way, we have people with worse knees than Dale.
There you go. Well, I just shot myself in the foot. But we got a little setup at home. I just go in there and do hypertrophy things, just trying to build the muscle, upper body mainly. I don't have a routine, man. And it's like, it's funny. That's why I love Alex Hormozy so much, because he's like, you don't need all this bullshit that people say.
Yeah.
The cold shower, the 3-minute meditation, the 75 breath work. Like, you don't...
If you spend the first 4 hours of your day doing all that and then you get no work done, you're actually still getting no work done. I totally get his sentiment on that.
I mean, and I'm not knocking it either, if that's what works for you, 100%. But
Small stacking wins, I think, works for a lot of people. You stack a few wins in the morning, get your mind right, and then it powers you up for the rest of the day. But if you're someone who doesn't need it, then you don't need it.
Yeah.
Routines aren't as important as people make out. But what it is important, like you said, being healthy, being fit, making good standard decisions. If you make low quality choices because you just can't be fucked, like that just can't be. That will reflect in the way you run your business. That will reflect in the way that you run everything, your relationships. You'll make poor quality decisions in all areas of life. So routines are just like, okay, what do I need to make good quality choices today? How can I live at a high standard? And from that high standard, what can I get? Because if you look at the people around you, look at the standards they live by, they're generally quite low and they reflect that and get that back. Whereas your routines and your choices aren't like that, right?
100%. Well, like even it's as small as just maybe not wanting to go into the gym that day, that morning. And then literally just, if you just do it, like if you have that thought of, oh, fuck, I don't want to go in the gym today. And then you just do it.
It's done.
You feel so much better.
That's right. And then the hardest part is starting. Just start. Just show me. If it's so easy and you so can't be bothered, show me how much you can't be bothered.
Yeah.
All right. Just do the bare minimum, and then all of a sudden that builds energy and pushes you in the right direction.
100%.
Now, from here, are there any books, podcasts that you've listened to that you want to recommend to the world around you listening? Like those people like it, you have to read Jab, 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 Right Hook, Gary Vaynerchuk. You have to read $100 Million Leads. You have to read $100 Million, what was the other one again? Offers. Right? You've got these Hermosi books. You've got these Gary Vaynerchuk books. What's something that you've read and went, boom, that is cemented in there, and it's something that everyone around me needs to read or listen to? I mean, apart from this podcast, but other ones.
This is at top of my list.
100% it should be.
But yeah, books, I've tried to get into books. Books are hard for me to read. I don't really retain the information. I'm more of
audio, visual guy.
More audio, visual, so YouTube. Or even just Instagram reels and stuff. Like, as much as it's flooded with bullshit, I do appreciate the ones that motivate you and give you like these one-liners, you know, that make sense to you or whatever. Yeah, I mean, as far as people, there's not a lot, and it's just the standard ones: Gary Vee, Alex Hormozi, those sort of guys, Mark Boris, like I said.
Big figure dudes, yeah.
Yeah,
and they got a lot of information out there, and they give it out all free. So,
and also trying to find people that are, you know, whatever you're doing, whatever business it is, whatever, it doesn't have to be business, can be like your mental health, your health, life skills, relationships, whatever it is. Find people that are doing what you're doing, and maybe are a bit further along or are successful in that, whatever that is. They have information, they have things to teach, and also retain that information, but it's not gospel either. You have to, because, you know, they've done it that way and that worked for them. So you need to maybe switch it up a little bit.
They've got runs on the board is what I always look for. How many runs on the board do you have? I mean, you're good at setting up a game, but if you've never played it, doesn't matter how good you set it up.
100%.
You've got to play the game to learn and get runs on the board. Now, the last thing, Dale, I want to talk about, and something that is very powerful and bring us up the end of the hour here, is what is your message to the world? If you could push a button on my desk right now and it would stop every thought on the planet and all of them were tuned in to your voice, what is the message you leave them?
Well,
powerful. Download Prolete.
Basically.
Yeah.
I don't know if I should be allowed to have this sort of power right now. Nah. I mean, it's so weird and cliche and whatever, but I am just a normal. I swear to God, I'm the most normal person. I mean, Shane might be more normal, but like, I'm just a normal person doing a normal. I was doing the normal thing day to day. I've got 2 kids, a wife, bills, responsibilities, and I'm chasing a dream.
Backing yourself.
Backing myself. Like, there's no excuse. And, you know, yes, there's extreme things that are excuses, or, you know, however you want to put it, and you have sympathy for those people, but there's no excuse. I'm doing it. I'm a prime example of that you can do it.
I'm always a big believer to contribute to Dale's message to the world is that there is always a way.
100%.
There's always a way. I mean, then you get these people that will, like, you're always thinking in the back of your mind that but this happened. And there are exceptional situations for some, but majority of the people out there are just not looking hard enough and making the right decisions, right? There is always a way. Specifically, I can't get healthy. You can get healthy. The fact that you even said that out loud will tell me that you can't, because you're a self-fulfilling prophecy. You're telling me you cannot do it. I don't want to hear that anymore. All I ever want to hear coming out your mouth is, I can be healthy. I will be healthy. This is when. Every fucking day until you are. I don't want to hear you can't. That doesn't help anybody. Even if you cannot, even if it's real, but it's not. Even if it was, the fact that you keep saying it is not helping you. We know that. But the fact that you try at least and you give everything you've got into that option of success, into being healthy, into being fit, into losing weight, into building muscle, you put everything you possibly can. There is always a way. I'm not going to be the dumbest and most naive person on the planet and say that there are people will take measures that are not moral, that are not ethical to get a lot of the goals and results they get in life, in business, right, in relationships and whatnot. But at the same time, that is still a way, and it depends on the individual. And sometimes you need to change your goal. Sometimes the goal that you think you want is not really yours. It's somebody else's.
100%.
And yes, I'm not prepared. If I want to be a multi-millionaire, but it means I'm going to fuck everyone in my life over to do it, maybe that's not my goal. Maybe I really don't want to be a millionaire. You know, then you've got to ask those questions morally, ethically, you know, that stuff as well comes into play. But there is a way. You just got to fuck your friends over. Like, that's but not that that's the only way.
Yeah.
But that might be the way for you. But it's like, okay, now I need to ask the question, is that really who I am and what I'm about? And is that my real goal?
100%.
And so leaving us with Dale's message of, like, anyone out there listening can do what Dale is doing, can put their whole life behind them and back themselves. I just think that is a powerful message that Dale has to share. And thank you so much for coming in, buddy. I really appreciate it. Is there anything that you want to leave the people with? How can they contact you? What are your socials? Fill us in so they can just go, boom, on there and start sign up to your content and listening to you.
I am trying to build my personal brand. So, everyone, at Dale J. Cole with an underscore, I think.
He's doing a good job already.
And then Prolete Sports, that's our business page. People's First Podcast. That's definitely follow that.
Shane
Trains, Coach Shane. There's a few.
CrossFit
You've got so many Instagrams. Yeah, man. Chase your dreams seriously, because if you're not going to, then who is, right? Like,
no one's going to do it for you.
No one's going to do it for you. And literally, I dropped out of uni twice. I know this sounds crazy. I'm making it sound crazy. I dropped out of uni twice, did 6 months of this one, 6 months of that one, was running events. I was a DJ for a bit, making music, doing TAFE courses. I was a bricklayer, did a real estate course, had all these ideas to do all these other things, and I'm 29 and now I've found what I'm doing. You don't have to, this is the thing, I don't know if we can keep talking, but this is the thing about school as well. They want you to know what you want to do when you're 13.
Yeah.
Let's start preparing for your for your career and your occupation. If I was doing now what I wanted to do when I was 16, 17, 18, I wouldn't be where I am now, you know.
That's right. You would have been a different trajectory.
So, and there's so many people that I know that are doing things that are the proper way to do it, like the traditional way, go to uni, which is fine. Some people need to go to uni to be doctors, to be health professionals, lawyers, whatever it is, you know, that's important. But there's so many bullshit courses out there that people do as well, just to get by, just because they think they need to do that, or they have nothing that they want to do right now. But also remember, you might be doing a course like that where you might think, oh, what the fuck is this anyway? I don't even know what I'm doing. But just remember that in the future, you're not going to be even in that industry. Like, you may not be in that industry and you're doing something completely different, and you might be chasing your dream and your passion at that point.
Well said, Dale. Love it. Thanks so much for listening, guys. I appreciate you tuning in. If you can, make sure you give this a 5-star rating on Spotify, iTunes, Apple, all the places that you listen to podcasts. Make sure you spend the 10 seconds it takes for me to spread the love and to help us keep pushing the messages of people around the world. Until next time, guys, I will see you in the gym.